Hello, and thank you so much for tuning into my podcast. My name is Kara, and I'm a holistic health practitioner for both people and pets. After working for years in the conventional medicine field, I realized that while our lifespans may be getting longer, our health spans are rapidly shrinking. And when it comes to our pets, both their length and quality of life are decreasing. When I turned to functional medicine and a more holistic approach to health, I saw dramatic improvements for my pets, myself, and my patients. Join me each week as I merge natural health for people and pets by focusing on the root cause of disease and applying raw, real remedies that you can use to improve overall wellness for every member of your family, including the furry ones. Hey everybody, welcome back to this week's episode. My guest this week is Isabel Alvarez Arata. Isabel is a writer and a digital marketer who specializes in the pet industry. She's also the host of Covered in Pet Hair, a boozy show for pet lover on Pet Life Radio. With almost 20 years of pet care industry experience, Isabel is passionate about creating and promoting founder-led content, telling the stories of pet industry entrepreneurs and the pets that inspire them. Isabel is going to talk to us about professional pet sitting today, something that is near and dear to my heart because I just had a not so great non-professional pet sitting experience. So you guys are going to learn all of the tips and tricks about what to do when you are hiring a pet sitter. So let's get to it. All right, everybody. And we are back with Isabel. Isabel has come on today to talk to us about pet sitting. Specifically, we're going to talk about professional pet sitting because she is an industry expert when it comes to this. And this hits close to home for me because I just had somebody watching my animals while I drove across the country, said animals which are crawling all over my desk, knocking things over and shaking my computer. So you guys are, if you're watching, you're about to have a really fun 40 minutes of watching this happen. But Isabel, welcome. Thank you so much for coming on today.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yes. It's only a matter of time before my cat tries to bat my microphone, which has a fluffy on the top of it.
Who's this cat?
Allie, come here. This is Oliver.
Hi, Allie.
Yes.
My best friend's, my kid's best friend is named Oliver. So, hi, Allie.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, he's my ginger boy.
He's beautiful.
Yeah, we lovingly call him slut butt because he's just constantly on everybody's laps. He's a very friendly, happy boy. He likes to sleep curled up here, putting his wet nose on me and drooling. So that's really fun.
Yes, I have a drooler too. I didn't know cats could do that until Van Gogh came into my life, and I was like, "What is happening?"
It's
Thanks
so
to
endearingly
Dr. Google,
disgusting.
I know it's normal.
Yeah, it's really gross.
It's very
really
messy
cute.
and it's a little damp, but it's sweet.
It's the only way to live, right? Messy, damp, and sweet.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. So we're going to talk about pet sitting, and I have a feeling that by the end of the conversation, you will be looking at me while I shake my head in shame. Because all of the things that I did, I suspect, are the things that you should not do. And my new apartment has the battle scars to prove it.
I will say this before you go any further. Most people reach out to a professional pet sitter when they've had a bad experience with a non-professional. So you just, you're on the right track.
I'm going to be reaching out to a professional pet sitter soon.
Yes, and there's so many benefits to having one. Even like do it sooner than later before you even go on a trip so that you guys can have an established relationship when you go. And even if you go for a day trip, it could be like a good test run. So I do love the idea of like not waiting until your next trip to get one. Do it now, like immediately get them in, schedule something next month and take it from there.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, we have so for context, I think most people who listen to me are actually probably sick of hearing me talk about it, but I just moved from California back to New york, back to my hometown of Buffalo. The first stop that I made was to go to the Buffalo Bills store and get myself some new Buffalo Bills football paraphernalia, which
Super cool.
Today is Thursday, which my office is Monday through Thursday. We don't have like dress down Friday, so we do dress down Thursday instead. So we're all wearing our Bills gear. And so for this move, we decided to do a cross-country drive because when am I ever going to be between jobs like this again, right? And for that 10 days, we asked a friend to sit. Now, my friend's amazing, and he's responsible. He sits for his parents all the time. He loves animals. I've known him half my life. And he did fine. It was fine, right? But only fine because there were some hiccups. And everybody is safe and everybody is sound, but that could have not been the case because of the couple of things that happened. And so I'll tell you a little bit about what happened, and then I think we can maybe kind of go from there in terms of my wrongdoings. So the first mishap is that I have an anxious dog. Now I have 3 dogs. 2 are big, 1 is medium, and my little medium girl does not like it when we're away. She doesn't even like it if we leave the house for 2 hours to go grocery shopping. And something that I failed to really take into account is that for the past year and a half, she has been almost never alone for more than a couple of hours because my husband and I worked opposite shifts. I did night shift. He worked day shift. So we always had, the crossover of somebody was home. Well, then we moved. I wasn't here yet. He went to work. So already things have changed. She's in a new place. She's alone for a shift. Then, only a month after he moved here, he flew back so that we could drive together. And all of a sudden we were like, stay with this stranger.
Mm-hmm.
And he had to go to work. So I think all of these things built and built and built. And she was like, that's it. I'm done. And she obliterated the floor, like tore it out.
Scratching, like digging?
I'm pretty sure she bit it, which means she probably ate some.
Ingested.
Mm-hmm. And this is like old linoleum. Gross. Yeah.
I just imagined carpeting. I didn't realize it was linoleum.
It was linoleum. And so she like tore out a bunch of the linoleum, shredded it, was all over the floor. This is a rental. And so not only do we, of course, have to pay because it's the right thing to do, but I was so embarrassed to text our landlord, who is someone that we know from our old Jeeping club that we used to be involved in out here. And so I had to text him and be like, I'm so sorry this happened, even though we promised you our dogs wouldn't do anything stupid. We'll pay to replace it, but now that kind of knocks down a level of trust, right? So
of course.
We had to re-crate train her. And actually, that was the best thing we could have done because she has a safe space that she feels very secure in now. She curls up. She's comfy. She's not even doing the barking that she used to do when she was left alone. She would bark like intermittently throughout the time. And you can tell, when a dog has an anxious bark, right? And so since we've done that, she feels safe and secure. And we're going to just keep doing that because that's her safe space now. And also the house is safe. But so I mean, it led to the development of, I think, like a better routine for even leaving for going to the grocery store. But still, that could have been devastating, right? You could get, I don't know, toxic poisoning from the glue. There could be mold. She could get an obstruction.
That would be my first thing. Choking.
So many things.
So many things.
Yeah. So scary. So, if you're paying somebody to sit for you, that's their job. You're paying them their job. They're there. They know things to watch out for. They know hopefully how to do maybe see, well, this is your wheelhouse. I'm going to stop talking.
Yeah,
you tell us why it's so much more important.
Well, first we'll start with the fact that a move is devastating for everybody. So if you think about the last time you just moved. My mom just moved from Miami to El Paso last year. And just chaos, right? Like as much as she was organized, as much as you organized with your partner, it was chaotic. It just is inevitably so. And you understand what you're doing. You understand why you're doing it. You know that you're making the choice. Like our pets don't understand it at all. So that was already like so heightened for her. I mean, you think about the rule of threes, like 3 days to decompress, 3 weeks to kind of get used to their new environment, and 3 months to truly settle into a new space. Like she hadn't had, maybe the 3 weeks is all she had had. So that's already tough. And then on top of it, the layer that you talked about, which is so important, is her separation anxiety. I have a separation anxiety dog too. And that's why we ended up with a cat. Like I thought she was finally going to be happy to be the only dog, and she was panicked. We got a cat. Yeah. She calmed down. She can't be an only dog. I really thought she would want to after being like sharing her life with 3 other dogs for so long. But if you have an anxious dog, you know that even that 3-3-3 rule is going to be probably 6-6-6 or 7-7-7, right? Because it's going to take longer to adapt to anything because they feel like they're constantly threatened by their environment, threatened by
Yeah.
your absence, threatened by that sound they heard. Like, it's just they're more sensitive. So you have the coupling of the move and her separation anxiety. And then, of course, you have the fact that the pet sitter was probably there, early in the morning, late in the evening? Like, what kind of schedule did you set up?
So he works irregular hours, but it so happened that the first day that we needed him to sit for us, he committed to a wedding. And so he was gone for maybe a maximum of 5 hours, which I will
Not bad.
say she's gone longer. And maybe that's not a great thing to admit, but when I was a single dog mom and I
Yeah.
worked my 12-hour shifts, my dogs went 12 hours and they were okay. Now I'm older. I understand that you can pay someone to do like a drop in and they can let them go potty and things like that. I didn't even know that
Yeah,
existed 9 years ago.
exactly.
9 years ago. But 5 hours, that's not that long. But
No.
I think you couple it with everything else and
Yeah.
she just was a
You're
dynamite
not
ready to
there. So,
explode.
like, you're the
Yeah.
resource. You're not there. And she had already
Yeah.
moved, and it
Yeah.
was probably a chaotic few months leading up to the move. Now she's in a new space, new sounds, new smells, new everything.
Yeah.
And a professional pet sitter would probably have caught that first bit of scratching and done
Yeah.
something about it. They would have immediately said, "Do you have a crate? Do we have a baby gate?" You know what I mean? Like, a professional pet sitter is going to be like, "There's damage on the floor. Maybe it's just minor right now. It wasn't there this morning. Let's find a solution." And the
Yeah.
reason that they're going to do that is because, yes, they have insurance, but they don't want to pay out. Right. So,
Yeah.
like, if they ignore that, now they have a big claim on their hands. So most
Yeah.
professional pet sitters, because they're responsible and because they want to avoid a claim, are going to be really proactive about any damage in your home. So they would have been like, "Okay, that linoleum looks weird. Let me call Kara." And, like, you guys would have been able to troubleshoot from afar.
Yeah.
Another thing a pet sitter might have done is call you and say, "I'm going to walk her more. Can I walk her more? Can we give her some kind of, more a stronger CBD?" Because I know you use CBD and maybe like
Yeah.
another tincture, another layer of soothing. Can we call the vet and ask for something pharmaceutical at this point? Because it's either she's going to ingest linoleum or we're going to kind of give her something to take the edge off, right? So, like,
Yeah.
at that point, your professional pet sitter is going to have a lot of tools in their toolkit, because a lot of the pets that require a professional are special needs pets. Like, your easy-go-lucky, amazing bladder strength dog maybe can stay with grandma and it's not a big deal. But a lot of these
Yeah.
dogs with separation anxiety, maybe incontinence, puppies that need a ton of attention, those are the kinds of dogs that are gonna require a pet sitter. Cats
Yeah.
too. Like, if a cat, most people want to leave their cat for days at a time. Like,
Oh.
most professional pet sitters require once a day visits. But there are a lot of people who are like, "Once a day, my cat doesn't need that," and they do. And I could, like, argue with
Oh,
somebody
no.
till the day is done, trying to explain why. But some people are going to be convinced that
Yeah.
their cat doesn't need that. The people who call the
Yeah.
pet sitter are the people whose cat scratches up their couches when they're gone.
Mhm.
The cat who vomits because they're gone. The cat who poops and pees
Yeah.
outside of the litter box because they're gone. So those are the
Yeah.
people. So, like, the easygoing pet owners, the owners that have easygoing pets, are probably not going to need somebody. They can ask for a drop in for the next door neighbor. But for me,
Yeah.
it's like, the more we get to know our pets, the more we get to know their quirks and their needs, and the more we pay attention to their behavior, like that first initial scratching of the linoleum, maybe, then we start to realize, okay, they need more than I'm giving. What can I layer on top of this? And in your case, because of what you do, you could have come up with some, plans for a more holistic approach than maybe Prozac, but then you could have
Yeah.
considered, maybe now we've gotten to the point where we need Prozac.
Well, and a part of the problem too is I wasn't here to begin with. And bless my poor husband
It's
who
tough.
who moved here, drove with all 6 animals in the car.
Dang.
First and foremost. He piled
Let's
all
let's
of
give
these
let's
animals.
give him the respect that he
Uh-huh.
deserves. Yes.
Right? So he drove them across the country and then moved them into this new apartment. started his job, had to deal with feeding them on his own, which all animals eat
It's a
fresh
lot.
food, right? And so
Mhm.
there's the thawing and there's the prepping and there's the and then you come home from your 10-hour shift and you have to let them go outside and you have to give them attention and you have to, and it's so much. And in the back of my mind, it's easy to go, well, why didn't you think of this? Well, why didn't you do that? Well, why didn't we put the camera in here? Well, why didn't you start giving her CBD as soon as she noticed she was right? But you can't I can't imagine doing all of those things and then also remembering the nuanced things that are my role, right? And I wasn't here to provide that role. So that makes it really
Well, and it's
tough too.
often if you're used to it, you have a partner, it's often a team effort. So what you
Mhm.
miss, he
Mhm.
catches and vice
Right.
versa. And
Yeah.
I will say just statistically speaking, most of the people that hire a dog walker pet sitter are women because they're the ones that
Yeah.
usually manage the pet care.
Mhm.
They're the ones who are usually playing that role. So you, I'm assuming, are usually in that role where you're the primary planner, giver of things,
Yeah.
orderer of things, scheduler of appointments. So it isn't his wheelhouse, right? So I
Mhm.
get that. And I also
Yeah.
think stereotypically, men don't have the attention to detail that women do. So you would, before leaving, notice that something was out of place, or you would, before leaving, be like, let me leave the crate out just in case. Or you might have done something just in case, but like he checked off his list and he did what he was going to do. And that's a
Yeah.
one of the great things about getting into a routine with a professional pet sitter is that you might already have, like, I use notes in my computer and I have like the detailed instructions for my pet sitter. And every time we leave, I just
Uh,
pull it up, update it, print, leave it out for her. It's printed. They don't have to worry about my handwriting, understanding things. My
yeah.
pet sitter is pretty low tech. They don't use like a scheduling software. A lot of professional pet sitters have a scheduling software where you just log in and you update things, and it asks you like
Oh, wow.
where does the leash live, and where do you have extra litter, and where and who's your vet, and what brand of food do you feed, and you have all of that in there. So if something happens, they can just be
Yeah.
like, oh, she ran out of food. I'll get Instacart over there and bill you later, whatever. And when you
Yeah.
really think about what you get from a professional pet sitter, you get the insurance, you get usually a dishonesty bond, which means that if anything were to ever be stolen, you're covered for that, which
Mm.
is very rare from a professional. But it is
Yeah.
something that people worry about. Like, I don't want strangers in my house because what if they steal from me? But a
Yeah.
professional pet sitter is going to have a dishonesty bond in case something happens. And they're going to have workers' compensation if they have employees, which means that if that employee gets hurt in your house, you're not going to get
Mhm.
sued. So, like, when you think about all that coverage that you get from a professional pet sitter, maybe you're paying $30 a visit. Maybe it adds up. At the end of the week, you're looking at $1,000. But how much is that linoleum going to how much are you going to
Yeah.
spend on that
Right?
linoleum? How much would you have spent if there was an obstruction in
Right.
because she ingested something? So like when you think about that and you start to think about the protections that you have, especially as a homeowner or renter that is
Mhm.
going to lose your security deposit, right? Like, I don't know, maybe if you
Mhm.
live with your parents and your parents are pretty easygoing because you're 30 and you still live there, maybe you don't have to worry about that. But for me, I own my home. I want my home to look its best at all times. I just got new floors 2 years ago. I don't want them to get ruined,
Yeah.
right, while I'm away. And
Yep.
so I pay for a professional pet sitter with insurance because I know that if something were to happen and my floor does get ruined while the pets are in their care, their insurance will cover the replacement. And that to me is huge. They will also cover if, heaven forbid, the pet goes missing or the pet gets ill in their care. And obviously, like, there are things
Scary.
that happen with professional pet
Yeah.
sitting. Like, I was a professional pet sitter. I had a professional pet sitting business for 12 years. For 7 of those years, I was a full-time worker, dog walker, pet sitter. I worked more than anybody on my team. And I remember going to a pet sit, and I had seen the cat 24 hours prior, and the cat
Mhm.
had thrown a clot and had to be euthanized that afternoon. It was the hardest thing
Oh
I'd
my
ever had to deal with
gosh.
because I had never euthanized any of my pets, thank goodness, at that point. So it was a very
Yeah.
first experience. I felt like, what did I miss? I couldn't have done anything differently. Obviously, they did not, like, the pet parents were super gracious and very thankful that I sat with Sir Henry when
Yeah.
he passed and all that.
Sir Henry.
But
Oh, what a dapper boy.
I know he was he was a yellow kitty too. And you know, it was not something that my insurance had to pay for because there was no mistake made. But if I had left something out, like let's say that Sir Henry had gotten into some kind of toxic something that I brought in, and it's my fault. My insurance would have paid for the costs of his veterinary care, the cost of euthanasia, the cost of the cremation. Everything would have been covered because it was an error by the professional pet sitter. And the reality is, when you find an established professional pet sitter, they're going to be the ones that help you prevent all these things. They're going to come into your home during the consultation and be like, so you say that she has an anxiety. What do you do when it flares? Like, what do you do when you travel? Have you tried this? Have you tried that? You know, they have a ton of tools in their toolkit that you might be like, no, like pheromones, for example. You might be like, yeah, it doesn't work. Okay. How about, you know, CBD? I already put her on that. Or how about, you know, some kind of, like shirt,
white noise,
you know,
or
white noise,
whatever.
a shirt, something. And they'll have like all these ideas before you even leave so that you can invest in stuff. You can try stuff before you go. When you have a friend over, they're just going to listen to you, right? So they're going to be like, yeah, I'll do this and I can be here at this time and this time. And then if they have a question, they're going to blow you up and they're going to like, you know, if you're St. Bart's enjoying the pool and the beach, you're going to be like, oh, wait, I need Wi-Fi because they can't figure out where the food is, or did they not thaw enough, or what's the dosage? Like a professional pet sitter, this is what they do every day. So they're going to know when they meet you, like, what's the dosage? How do you medicate this cat? Have you ever had issues? Show me. Like, is it time for the meds? Show me right now how you do it so that I know how to do it, right?
How do they take it? Are they going to bite my fingers off?
Exactly. I mean, I remember when I had my business, we called him Prozac Kitty, and it was Christmas time, and my then business partner, Beth, went to the house to see Prozac Kitty, which his name was not that until this moment. He hid under the Christmas tree. Another thing that professional pet sitters will ask you about, like, we do not want it plugged in, and we certainly don't want it, like, super decorated while you're traveling for Christmas. But those are the things that we already know just because we know. But that Prozac Kitty hid under the Christmas tree, just hissing. And she was supposed to give him Prozac on his ear tip. So, like, how are we supposed to do this, right?
Army crawl.
So, yeah, she had to, like, use a towel, pull him out, all that good stuff, because the cat desperately, obviously, based on his behavior, needed
his Prozac.
And a friend is going to be like, girl, he's going to tear my eyes out of my face. Like, I'm not doing this. But a professional pet sitter is like, okay, the last time this happened, this is what I did.
Yeah.
You know, so we just, experience is something that in this case is so valuable. And when we've made mistakes, we've learned from them. I mean, I remember learning as a rule that I could not go into any main bedrooms, also known as master bedrooms, just for those who, you know, didn't know what I was referring to. But like the cats really valued that space. That's where their families sleep. And there were a lot of families who had like a litter box in the main room, or in the ensuite bathroom, they had something, or like a water bowl or something. And every time I would go in, there were some cats that would be fine with me being in the kitchen, refreshing the water there, go down to the basement, scoop the litter box. Everything was fine. But the second I got close to the main bedroom where that king bed was for mom and dad or mom, they would lose their minds. So as a rule, when I would go and I would ask, like, how's your cat? He used to be feral. Okay, I'm not going into your main bedroom.
Wow. I never thought of that.
Yeah, or the cat's like sitting on me, loving me, and I'm like, I'll try the bedroom. But if it gets crazy, that litter box is not getting scooped. Okay? Yeah. So like let's leave an extra litter box somewhere else, just in case I can't get to that one. Because I already knew based on what I had observed. But it was years, it was like 3 or 4 cats that I had that similar experience with that finally led me to that. Right? So that's where the experience comes in, that your friend, as awesome as they might be, as much as they might love pets, they don't have that experience. When I started as a professional pet sitter, I was terrible compared to what I'd be now, right? Because I was a professional pet sitter, meaning that I had insurance and that I had all the things that I needed. I had the fanny pack and the all the equipment and the keys and all the things, but I didn't have the experience. So
Yeah.
obviously when
Yeah.
my business closed in 2020, I had been doing this for 12 years and I'd been learning from my team members. I'd been training team members. So like that's really when you hire a professional pet sitter, look for the ones that have been in business for a while, like at
Yeah.
least 10 years. Even 5 years is better than 0. Like there are some areas where I know it's really hard to get professional pet sitters, so I'm not going to set the bar that high. But if you're in a big metro area, go for the ones that have been in business for at least 10 years. And like anybody
Yeah.
who's ever listening to this or any other thing that I do, I'm happy if you message me, DM me. If I have somebody in your area, I will refer you to the exact person that you can go to because I'm so involved in the industry. I have so many friends in the industry. But if you don't know where to start, I would say professional pet sitters are found in 2 places. That's the only 2 places I will ever endorse. And it's the National Association of Professional Pet Sitters, petsitters.org, and PSI, Pet Sitters International, which is petsit.com. And actually PSI is in San Antonio right now having their annual conference. Like when I tell you that it's a professional industry,
Yeah.
it is a very, very legit industry
Yeah.
where people have certifications. People are pet first aid and CPR certified. They teach pet first aid and CPR to pet parents. They have actual certifications through PSI or NAPS. They actually like know pet behavior. They've taken courses. A lot of them are fear-free certified, which is huge. So you're talking about a professional, a true professional that's been in the industry for a long time, that educates themselves and their team, and they're not going to be the same level as your friend because your friend
Yeah.
is like a marketer or like a software developer or whatever in the medical industry, which is amazing,
Yeah.
but this is not what they do.
But it's still not a professional pet sitter.
And
So,
it's not their
yeah.
pet, right? Like nobody's
Yeah.
ever going to understand your pet as well as you do. And your pets are always going to be different around a third party. That is facts. Whether it's your mom, your friend, your sister, the pet is going to be different when
Yeah.
you and their like nuclear family is not around.
Yeah.
Like that is just facts. And so the closest person when you go is somebody with experience so they can read their body language, read the room, figure out what's going on. They have kind of like that sixth sense of what may be happening so that when they call you, it's not like, oh no, this happened. I
This
walked in
guy
and
is
this is
fine.
horrible. Like they'll call
Yeah.
and be like, this is what I observed and this is what I think we should do, right? That's what
Yeah.
you want when you're in St. Bart's having a margarita at the pool. You don't want panicked friends when you're that far away and you're like, what am I going to do?
Exactly. And then you're panicking and you can't be there and the best you could do is maybe coordinate some phone calls, but I mean, yeah.
Yes. And especially
So
the further away you go, the more valuable that pet sitter becomes.
yes.
For sure.
Yes. Different country, different time zone. So let's say you go on the website, you choose someone in your area, seems like they fit the bill, feels like they're going to resonate with you, and you have them come on over to meet the animals and do, I would recommend, and I'm sure you would as well, an interview.
Yes.
What kind of questions would you ask when you're trying to determine if they're the right fit?
Well, first of all, I would say use all your resources online. Like read the reviews, look at how long they've been in business, follow their social media, do all of that online. Use AI. AI is really good. Like if you go to, your AI results, those that pop up, because I'm in digital marketing and I work really hard with these really great pet care businesses to get on that level. And I will give Google its due. It really is good at pulling out the cream of the crop from your area. So if you go and you do a Google search like dog walker El Paso, Texas, don't just look at the list, the search results that come up. Go to the AI mode and see that paragraph, that first paragraph that comes up. And then there, you'll probably see the top 3 most highly rated. That's where I would start. And I would also look at like the local grid that comes up where you see like 3 or 4 at a map, the local stack, I think they call it. So that also is that's probably the ones that are the leading in their area just because they have the most reviews, they have the most stuff. And like some of my clients have 120 reviews. So it's like you can
Yeah.
really get to know this company. Look at how they hire. Are they independent contractors? Are they employees? If they're employees, do they train them? All those things that you want to like know. Is it the same person coming every day? Is it a different person coming? And
Mm-hmm.
your instinct is I want the same person, but I don't. Because if
Mm.
that person gets sick in a car accident, has a family emergency, what happens? So
Right.
when
Good
I'm
point.
in St. Bart's drinking my drinks, I want to make sure that there's a team that is ready to
Yeah.
step in and come into my house. And because I trust the business, I know that their insurance will cover me. I know that their bond will cover me. And I know also I prepare my house with cameras all over the place. So like there are ways that I can also add to that peace of mind on my end. So there's a camera
Uh-huh.
in my dining room, there's a camera in my living room, there's a camera in my hallway, and there's a camera in the room where the cat has his litter box. So like I can at least look and be like, yeah, they scooped the litter box. That's cool. And
Uh-huh.
if I notice, hey, like somebody's forgetting that litter box, I can be like, hey, quick note, like remember there's a litter box in that room. So for
Yep.
me, having cameras and having a team-based business is peace of mind. Whereas for other people who may have had like some bad experience with maybe another pet care provider, or they've had somebody steal from their home, like a contractor or a cleaning person. I get that, like, you're more kind of drawn to that single person that's going to be
Uh-huh.
doing all the visits. However, I would encourage you to ask this question. What happens if you're in an accident? What happens if you get sick? Who do
Yeah.
you have stepping in? Some of them have a husband that'll step in. Some of them have, like in Houston, I know that there's a really great group of solo pet sitters that network with
Mm-hmm.
each other. So if somebody has
Ah, smart.
somebody has
Yeah.
an emergency, that person will come in. That person has their own insurance too, so you're still covered
Yeah.
and everything is fine. But if you don't ask that question, you may be kind of like getting a phone call being like, "Oh, I ended up in the hospital. I got mauled
Yeah.
by a dog," which has happened to a professional pet sitter that I know. And obviously her visits weren't done like after that
Uh-huh.
happened, right? Like, so
Yeah.
if something were to happen, they drive a lot. So car accidents are a reality. If something were
Yeah.
to happen, you need to know that somebody's going to step in and finish the care until you get back. And
Yeah.
also another thing is how they handle returns. So how do they know that you're back? And do they keep caring for your pet until you get back? Because we all know that traveling these days is a nightmare.
Uh-huh.
So remember what happened in Atlanta where like the whole of Atlanta airport went off the grid and like there was no like technology, and one of my clients is in Atlanta and like a bunch of her
Yeah.
clients could not get back. She has a seven-figure business, tons of clients traveling over a peak
Yeah.
period. And so they just kept going to the houses. They couldn't get in touch with
Yeah.
people. They just kept going to the houses. And they left in the house like a note, like call us the second you get home so we stop coming. But we'll
Yeah.
keep coming until we hear from you. And if
Yeah.
you hire a solo person that says, yes, I can care for your pets until next Tuesday, would they be able to extend it till next Saturday in case something happened? Like you could get
Okay.
injured abroad, you could get delayed. I actually had a client who passed away while on vacation when I was
Oh,
a
how
professional pet
sad.
sitter. And she actually, she had a boating accident and she was in the ICU for 3 days and she never came home, which heartbreaking, horrible story.
Yeah.
But we live in like a world where everything's going to be just fine, but it's good to have these like thoughts. Like, what if
Yeah.
something happens to
Just
me?
in
What if
case.
something happens to my flight? What if something
Yeah.
happens in the country that I'm visiting and I can't leave? I mean, we all live through a global pandemic. So like we know crazy
Uh-huh.
things happen. So having these like little built-in like resources, whether it's they
Yeah.
have a community that they network with or a team, weather too, like what happens if there's a snowstorm or a hurricane? Do you still come to
Uh-huh.
my house? And most of them will tell you if there's a hurricane coming, you shouldn't leave. That's the first thing they're going to tell you. Like, right?
Uh,
So like hurricanes, we usually know about a week ahead. If you're already
uh-huh.
gone, they're going to do everything they can to get to your pets. They really are,
Uh-huh.
because that's what a professional does. But before you leave, they're going to tell you, you really need
check
to
the
stay.
weather report.
Yeah, you need to stay. Like, I know your pet sit starts Saturday. You need to stay because the hurricane's coming Sunday. So they're going to be really vigilant about that, even more so than maybe you will be, just because they don't want to get stuck driving in a hurricane. Snowstorms too. Like, if I remember living in DC, I mean, but you're in Buffalo, you're going to laugh at this, but like they would shut down the roads during snowstorms. Like, you're not allowed to drive because people were such bad drivers that they literally had to make it illegal to drive. Thankfully, pet sitters are considered like, emergency responder kind of situation, like where we get like to drive even if we're not, but like it's not safe. So we might at that point just delay the visit, right? Like you might say, like I might say, make sure that your neighbor has a key so they can let the dogs out midday, and I'll be there as soon as I can to feed them and scoop the litter boxes and all that. So a professional pet sitter is going to, first of all, have a lot of policies that you can review. If you have any questions after you've reviewed those policies, that's what you ask. And they're going to have a team. They're going to have a hiring process. They're going to have backups. They're probably a really good professional pet sitter is going to ask you for a pet guardianship. Like, who would I call if you never come back?
Yeah. Smart.
And so I'm, as a professional pet sitter, I had like 500 clients. I couldn't take all of them in, right? So like everybody had to say, if I don't come back from work, I mean, we're recording this on September 11th. People didn't come back from work that day. So if I'm just your dog walker midday and I show up the next morning and I realize nobody's been home, who am I calling, right? So if I'm your professional pet sitter and I get an email or a call from somebody saying this person is sick in, Mexico, I'm going to need to know, do I keep taking care of this pet at your expense, or do I, at this point, give the pet to your mom, sister, friend, etc.? So these are the things that a professional pet sitter will do for you so that you really don't have to think about it. They have these things, these safeguards like built in, and that's why they're so valuable. Because again, your best friend or your friend, if you, heaven forbid, hadn't made it back, they would have just had to make a call. Like to your mom, to your grandma, to your family, to your friends. I mean, Jessica, me, whomever, they would have been like, who wants her pets, right? Because you wouldn't have necessarily had a plan in place, or maybe you did, but nobody would know about it. So your pet sitter will ask, do you have like a trust? Do you have a will? Do you have somebody? Does the person know that they're in charge if something happens to you? And in the world that we live in, I feel like these are safeguards that used to be like overkill, and I don't know that is overkill anymore.
Well, now that you said it, I fully expect, if you're listening, Jess Fisher, that if anything ever happens to me, you will drive up to Buffalo and you will take my animals.
Jessica, I'm a witness, but I'm not going to agree on your behalf. Poor Jessica. Poor Jessica.
Oh, I love her so much. So yes, those are all such amazing points, and the things that I would not have thought of. My dog is panting very loudly next to me. Can you go lay down? Go lay down. Oh, now he's sad.
Well, I will say this, and it's not always doom. It's not always, all these crazy things. That's what happens during the consultation is you get through the business part of it, right? Like the safeguards, the agreements, the policies. But what comes after is really where I think professional pet sitters shine, is the relationship, where like I had clients who had a cancer diagnosis overnight, were like, I need to go into chemo, and I broke my ankle and I can't walk my dog anymore. And like, so immediately, because they're already part of the family, like, let's, get all hands on deck. Let's help out this client. You have a new baby on the way. Everybody's kind of waiting to hear if you go to the hospital. Oh, her water broke. Let's go. Right. Like, so it is having a village in a world where we don't have villages anymore. So if you are a pet parent and you have the fortune to find a professional pet sitter that you really jive with, that you trust, that you've had really good experiences with, like, I mean, it just becomes an extension of your family and your support system. And in a great way, because you never really have to see them or have like small talk with them. You just know they're there for you. You know what I mean? Because they
you're not
come in
forced
when you're
together
gone.
like the relatives on the holidays.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No, they're in your home when you're not there, which is why it's
Yeah.
such an amazing relationship to have, because there are a lot of things that will take us away from home, and the pets always
Yeah.
thrive at home. So you don't have to worry
Yeah.
about driving to and from a boarding facility or a kennel, stressing the heck out of your. Can you imagine your dog in a kennel?
Oh my
If she
God.
was already flipping out with her own things, since I'm assuming you moved furniture and stuff that was like that she's familiar with, right?
Yeah, we
Yeah,
brought
so
everything
she
with
had
us. Yeah.
smells that were familiar. She had other
hmm
pets, her own pets. She wasn't
Yep.
exposed to strangers. She wasn't
Yep.
exposed to like super new random smells. That would have been so stressful for her.
So overstimulating. And I mean, she doesn't even do well at well, dog parks are a whole different conversation, but she doesn't do great even around like multiple new dogs.
Which is pretty
She's
much every dog.
defensive,
Yeah.
she has herding instincts, so she'll herd and nip at
Mm-hmm.
ankles, and so yeah, I think just knowing your animal and knowing
Yes.
what is going to be a stressor for them, what's going to be too much for them, what makes them comfortable, and then having the fresh professional eyes
Yes. Well,
to
and honestly, I think that every pet except for young puppies and young kittens are
yeah.
awesome candidates for in-home pet care.
Mhm.
Puppies and kittens need a lot of attention. So it's going to cost you. They're going to do great in
Mm.
home, but it's going to cost you because you're going to need a lot more time, a lot more playtime, a
Mhm.
lot more visits because of the potty training for the dog. So a lot of that's going to be more expensive. If you can keep them at home, better because they won't be exposed to all sorts of gross viruses and bad behaviors.
Yeah.
But if you can't, like it's really just too much and you're trying not to, puppies and kittens do great in a kennel environment, in a boarding facility. Obviously, one that
Okay.
is of quality, one that does,
Right.
one
Yeah.
that really does a good job of meeting their needs and providing enrichment. Those are great for young pets. Everybody else, literally every other animal is
Yeah.
going to be prefer being home and is going to be probably better off just like if you compare the cost of a professional pet sitter and a really good boarding facility, usually it's about the same.
Hand in hand.
So
So
you're not really
so
going to save any money by finding somewhere
yeah.
else.
So that's a good segue to talking about the one topic that nobody ever really wants to talk about, which is money. I
hmm
am of the mindset that for most things in life, you get what you pay for. And I would imagine that's the same thing here.
Yeah, absolutely. All of this stuff costs money, right? A scheduling
Yeah.
software where you get real-time visit updates to an app, that costs money.
Mhm.
Insurance, bonding, workers' compensation, that costs money.
Mhm.
Business taxes cost money. Payroll costs money. I mean, especially what's the minimum wage in New York?
7.25. No, 15 now. 15, I
It's
think. Yeah.
exactly. It went up
Yeah.
in a lot of states. So if they have employees, they need to pay them $15 an hour. So you think you're going to
Mhm.
pay $15 an hour to this business who's also offering
Yeah.
real-time updates, insurance, supplies, et cetera, branding, marketing, et cetera, you are sorely mistaken. So that
Mhm.
if you have a pet care provider that has employees on the team, think of the minimum wage and at least double it. Like that's really
Yeah.
what you should be paying. For them to even turn a profit, it should be higher. But that's pretty much like a guide of what you should be paying. I
Mhm.
would really caution against making price the most important factor in your consideration
Mhm.
because if you're getting a deal, you're not getting a profession. If you're getting a
Mhm.
deal, you're not getting education. You might be getting somebody who has insurance, but they might have just started, so they don't have that experience and that
Right.
intuition that I've just talked about. Um,
Yeah.
I would advise everybody stay away from Rover and Wag. That's something that's really, really it bothers me as a consumer because people go on Rover and Wag and they think that they're getting a professional pet sitter because Rover especially has this great website, this awesome blog that they update
Mhm.
every day. They are a technology company. They
Mm.
are not a professional pet sitting company. They are a technology company that links you up with pet lovers who provide this service.
Mhm.
So when you go to Rover or Wag,
Yeah.
you're going to get maybe like a friend. like the equivalent of what a friend would know. We'll give people the benefit of the doubt, say that they really do love animals and they are doing their best, but they may not have insurance because they're just animal lovers like your friend who are doing this as a side gig. So Rover and Wag do not vet the people that sign up. It is incognito. I could tell you that my name is very white and go ahead and schedule, accept jobs from there. Obviously, once they arrive, you might be like, hey, this is not the same person, but most of the time you wouldn't even be there to even see that it's not the right person, right? So there's a lot of people who have found great pet sitters on Rover. I've never heard anybody say that they had a good experience on Wag, so do with that whatever you want. But I have a cousin, I have an aunt in Seattle whose pet sitter came from Rover, and she adores her. So there are people out there who've had good experiences, but regardless of where you find your pet sitter, if they don't have insurance, they're not a professional, and you are opening yourself up to a liability. Because if your dog bites that Rover pet sitter and they are not covered, now your home insurance is going to cover that bite.
Yep.
You are liable because you hired them knowing, maybe not knowing, you should have done your due diligence is what your insurance company is going to say.
Yeah.
But so my biggest thing is if they don't have insurance, do not even go there. And if you're not sure, like they're like, yeah, ask for a copy of it. Ask for them to send you a copy. They don't have to send you like the amount they're insured for. But if they have a policy that says their business name and it says like, that it's in like it's valid in this time, like it's not expired or whatever, then I would take that. But without insurance, I don't consider them a pet sitter. I consider them an acquaintance or a friend who is doing this as a side gig. So just know that everything you hear about Rover and Wag is because consumers thought they were getting a professional. Something terrible happened, and then they realized there's no insurance coverage. There's no replacing the floor. There is no, veterinary care for the pet that got hurt in the pet sitter's care. All that stuff that we've talked about, that doesn't exist with them. And the only difference with Rover is that, I could, as a professional pet sitter, list myself on Rover just to have like another marketing place, right? So there are some professionals that are insured on Rover. They're just not the majority.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I don't know that there's anywhere that we can say that you don't get what you pay for. Like, I have yet in my 45 years to experience something that said, wow, the cheaper version was so much better than the expensive.
The generic is my favorite. I love the Walmart brand Cocoa Puffs.
Exactly. These are so good. They don't taste like cardboard at all. Like, come on.
No.
So yeah,
I am a sucker for Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
I mean, me too. But like the brand name, you give me some knockoff Lucky Charms, and I'm gonna scream.
I don't want that
Forget
trash.
it. It's trash. Yeah, for sure.
Oh my God, Isabel, you have left us with a lot to think about. Some really great resources, which I will link in the show notes. How can people contact you if they want to learn more? Which, by the way, her podcast, Covered in Pet Hair, highly recommend. It is
you've
so
been
fun.
my guest. You were
so
my
fun.
Halloween guest last year.
Actually, it's almost been a year. It's coming up.
I know. I got to share it again.
A whole year ago. Oh my God.
Feels
Anyway,
like,
how can people find you?
Everybody says that time flies. I'm like, it feels like 8 years ago. Like this year has been so long. I don't even know. I feel like I've aged 8 years. Like my house has aged 8 years since last Halloween. But yeah, you can find me anywhere on social media at Covered in Pet Hair. So Covered in Pet Hair all together. And if you're interested in digital marketing services in the pet industry, I offer those as well.
Amazing. Isabel, thank you so much. This was
Thank you for having me.
So fun. I hope I get to see you again soon. Once a year at Super Zoo is not enough.
I know. I agree. We'll have to plan something.
For sure. With Jess after she adopts all of my animals.
No, you have to be here for us to enjoy
a
trip
you're
together.
Right. I would be right. Something would have happened to me, and then I can't come to the girls' night. So
no. We need a girls' trip. We need a girls' trip.
Yes.
And a lot of kayaking.
Everybody who's listening is invited. Come find us.
Yes. That'd be fun.
Oh, girl. I will Talk to you soon.
Yes. Thank you again. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you for listening. Please remember that you, yes, you, are the driving force that helps keep small businesses and platforms like mine running. So if you liked what you heard, please like, share, and most importantly, rate this podcast. It's the only way we can reach more people and spread the word about natural health. None of the conditions discussed or recommendations given are meant to replace the advice of your health provider. So if you have concerns about yourself or your pets, please confer with a human or animal health practitioner. Have a super fantastic day, and I'll see you next week.